All right, we are back with another interview, and I am excited about this one. We have a composer, and his film just came out, The Demon Detective. I can't wait to get into it with the one, the only, Mary J. Neely. Welcome to the show.
thank you, and thank you for
Oh my
using my
gosh.
middle initial.
Hey, you know what? You put it up there, I am going to use it.
I am not Blake Neely. I am Barry J. Neely.
That's right. That's right. So the interesting part about this is usually I'm able to see the movie beforehand. This time
Oh,
was not gifted such viewing pleasure, but you have released the soundtrack,
yes.
your score on your own your label on any streaming service. You can check it out. So I've been jamming out to that,
Oh,
preparing for this interview, and
great.
I have to give it up to you because the way that you use strings, violin, cello with loud drums, and in this particular score, there is a creepy, I have no idea what it's called. You're
Oh,
going to have to tell me, but there is a creepy, and I'm like, oh
yeah,
my,
yeah.
this seems like it is tense, and I love it. So my first question to you is, how did you get inspired to make this specific score for The Demon Detective?
Okay. And by your interesting, I should have sent you the screener beforehand. We
Oh, it's all
we're,
good.
we're kind of keeping it close to the chest before. Well, it's released today,
Yes,
so I'm not sure as the composer ever what I can give out. So that's always the
it's all
yes.
good.
So this movie is it's funny. I'm doing some interviews, and they're asking a lot about the detectiveness of the story, which seems plainly obvious why they would ask that given the title.
Right,
Um, you have two elements of this. You have these really big monster scenes that are really well done, especially for an independent film. And
right,
so, and I know that they were struggling with this for like the the tone of the movie was you have big monster scenes, but the character Miles Mako is like a very he's not cool, but he's very like focused and very calm.
hmm,
So you have the music that's super intense with a character that might not seem that intense on screen in terms of he's not big, he's bold, he's very like a quiet and focused.
right,
So a lot of the big theme and that sound I made was made with just a synthesizer experimentation that I knew that was the first thing that I ever came up with was like I want this kind of thing, and I want the cello to like call and response and like
hmm,
rattle with it. So I
right,
came up with these two this one low dose synth sound, and then contrasted with the strings. So that's
mhm,
it's not a lot of synthesizer in terms of like Stranger Things, but it
right.
is more textured and layered, and that's the big sound of the film is that one low kind of rattle, and I just use it throughout the whole score.
Yeah, that's why I know. Like, and it kind of sucks saying this because like the finale track is my favorite because it's the encompassing of everything you've done throughout the entire score.
Yeah,
But like it does play a role throughout the entirety of it.
yeah, and thank you for
Uh,
noticing that. By the way, I want to compliment you on that.
no problem, no problem. And so the director of this,
Mhm.
did he have any like say into the making of the score? Like, did he come with notes of like, oh, I would like this because it is about a man who is an exorcist, and he's battling demon from the plot synopsis as I've seen. So I imagine he might have come to you and been like, look, he's playing an exorcist. Maybe we can play with some kind of like creepy demon
Hmm.
strings or something. Like, was any of that involved?
So TC, who is the director, he is huge into demonology. Like he really passionately studied demonology and came up with the mythos for for all the characters in it.
Mm-hmm.
Um, so we talked about a few things. One was the demons themselves. Two was using tones that were outside of human hearing to play with the audience,
Mm-hmm.
because you don't always want music in your face all the time. So actually, the finale piece is the finale for a reason
Right.
because it's not even though there are hints of it in the movie, as you've heard, it's over the credits,
Mm-hmm.
and so it's almost like it might not fit in a lot of the scenes because it's so big. So
Right.
TC and I talked about using this really high pitched sound that I made with, I got this like pink violin from a thrift store for $15. It didn't come with a bow. And I was like, I don't need a bow. And then you come home and you try to play. I don't even play violin. But you try to play it with like a cello bow because I'm a bass player, so I
Right.
have like a cello bass bow. It
Right.
doesn't work.
Right.
so
No.
so I'm like, I can't use this for actual playing, but let me see if I can make this supersonic sound that TC wanted.
Mm.
So, like a lot of our initial discussions weren't about specific how to do the music or this. It was like, let's talk about this, and then let me, Barry, create something, send it to him, see what he thinks. And because we went, the initial discussion was Insidious, which has, some of the strongest strings themes you've kind of
Yeah.
heard.
Yeah.
And then the other talk was Chernobyl, which I thought was
Mm-hmm.
interesting, which is a
Mm-hmm.
way more subtler score than that. So how do I combine the two?
Right.
I don't. Did I? I don't know. You tell me.
Right. 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 No, it is very eerie with. You said it early with the detective themes of this. It does have a noir kind of feel to it, where it's not playing music the entire time. Obviously there's some dialogue that's going to be thrown at there, so I do feel you do have a good balance.
Okay.
I have not seen the movie, but
Yeah,
I
this is
feel
gonna
the
be fascinating.
balance.
I'm going to send you the screener right after this.
No, there's no reason. I'll rent it myself. I'm gonna watch it. I'm gonna give this thing the watch it deserves through all the platforms. It's on Apple. It's on other streaming devices. Go ahead, do that. But my other question for you is: you did the score to Slapface,
Yes. Yeah.
and as a composer, like you think of someone like John Williams, he's very notable to have similar sounds in all his movies. Like Jaws sounds like Star Wars, which sounds like Indiana Jones. What is your sound that you feel that you bring into your scores?
Well, I think I am tough to brand and tough to market.
Mm-hmm.
Because especially in the past couple of years, I went from Slapface to this really kind of darkish comedy called Dick Bunny about
Mm-hmm.
motherhood, and then back to Demon Detective, which was, about a demon detective. So it's like, as a film scorer, you kind of have to adapt to each project you work on. But I think, and this is what was difficult maybe for the Demon Detective. I think what I'm known for is rhythmic stuff.
Mm-hmm.
Now that probably isn't even evident in Slapface or Demon Detective necessarily, because you want feel, and percussive layers they're not feeling. And it's very tough to describe, but
Right.
they're more overt.
Right.
And so when you get into the subtle aspects of horror, you can't really blah blah blah. So, but that being said, I feel like in the Demon Detective, strings play a percussive role, and they
Mm-hmm.
do a lot of rhythmic stuff.
Mm-hmm.
So I think my sound is not necessarily complicated rhythms, but intricate rhythms.
Mm-hmm.
Whether or not it's played through strings, percussion, or whatever. Because I do a lot of things where I like, you found objects,
Right.
soda cans,
Mm-hmm.
you name. I mean, honestly, I look around my room and I'm like, why do I need, a clavinet, or not a clavinet? Sorry, what's the word I'm looking for? Whatever those
Uh-huh.
I'm gonna sound like an idiot. You can use stuff
No,
around you. You can use stuff around
that's
your
right.
room instead
Right.
of percussive items, and that's more
Right.
fun for you. It's more fun for the audience, and it's more for YouTube videos
You're
and behind the
ba-
scenes.
you're basically bringing Stomp to the movie world. That's what you're doing.
I started with, I will do this drumming on my stomach that I've been doing since I was. I mean, people said when you knew I was coming down the hallway in high school when you hear the drumming, and it's just kind of like, and by the way, I have an 8-month-old son.
Oh
His
wow.
favorite activity is me taking his arms and playing the drums. So clearly, there's something in my DNA that needs to be percussive.
Oh, for sure. You are a man trying to get that music out there. I love it.
Yes. Uh-huh.
Making a score, making
Mhm.
the Detective Demon score, like shoots for independent films, usually a few weeks, 3 weeks. What's the process of making this? Like, they have to bring you film, they have to show it to you to make this complete score, which was like, I don't know, 19 tracks, 17
Yeah.
tracks.
And that's
What?
that, you believe me, that's I think there's total an hour worth of music, and the soundtrack is 15
Wow,
minutes less than that.
wow.
Because
So
I mean, sometimes you don't need to hear a tone going on for two
right.
2 minutes. Yeah.
Right. So I guess how long is the process for you to make the score? Is it beginning to end from shooting to post?
Well, in this case, they made the first. You can almost you'll see it when you see it. The
Mm-hmm.
first 10 minutes, or maybe 8 minutes, is its own thing. It,
Mm-hmm.
it was a proof of concept slash short film that then they made into a full feature. So they actually finished that first, and I was so excited. I knew the producer Danny, and I pretty much texted her or like met or whatever, commented and was like, "Hey, this is amazing! Holy crap! I need to work on this," because
Mm-hmm.
they just use temp music or whatever just to get it out there.
Mm-hmm.
And then they actually finished the feature by the time I even started it.
Right.
That being said, and I'll be honest about timelines. I wrote the score 2 years ago, and it took me at least 2 solid months, probably 8 hour days, maybe 5 days a week. And if freelance is always wishy washy, and if I'm sitting on the in the coffee shop thinking about music, am I composing? Absolutely.
Right.
So it took me so long to finish it, but then a few months later, I saw a cut of the film, and I was like, oh, I need to rework this. So
Mm.
then does that that's like 5 months later, but I still
Right.
worked on it. And then when I was developing the soundtrack for it, putting and compiling that, the,
Right.
the reason it was delayed is because they're trying to sell it. So
Right.
the largest chunk is waiting for them to try to sell it.
Mm-hmm.
So when I compiled the soundtrack, I of course revisited mixes, brought things down, brought things up. And so I spent another probably few weeks on it. So, I mean,
Right.
you could say it took me 2.5 years to do this,
Right.
but the
Wow.
music that's in the film at least took 2 solid months just to get to a good point.
Wow.
Yeah.
Now, when you're in that coffee shop, you're thinking, does it ever happen where it's like, oh, I think this is a nice piece of music I just came up with. Let me use that instead. Has that
Uh,
happened?
I
Even if it's not this movie, it could be something else.
yeah. Well, it's like hindsight 2020, right?
Mm-hmm.
Um, have I revisited pieces or projects and been like, oh, I should have done this way differently?
Right.
Yeah, I actually, if you look on my YouTube channel, I did a whole video on me rescoring a scene that I was like, that wasn't very good. I can do that way better now.
Oh,
Now, was that me
wow.
rewriting it?
Mm-hmm.
Kind of, but it
Mm-hmm.
wasn't replacing it completely. S-
Oh, wow. That's
So,
interesting.
yeah, so I think in hindsight, like on this particular score, I think I could have maybe gone more detective-y,
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
but I really liked the projection I was, or the path I was going on. So I have to trust my instincts at the time, as opposed
Yeah.
to 2.5 years later.
Right,
So,
absolutely.
yeah.
It's in a vacuum. Like, that's what was meant to be in there, and that's what's there.
But I will tell you, the worst curse of being at least a creative or even a musician is
Hmm.
that my music ideas usually come when I'm lying in bed
Hmm.
and I'm just about to go to sleep.
Ugh,
And
that's
then
the
I
worst.
have this like argument of, Barry, you need to wake up and sing that into your phone or something. And then my brain is like, Barry, you got to go to sleep. You'll remember
Mhm.
this in the morning. And then I wake up and of course I don't remember it.
It's
So
gone.
yeah, that's like,
Oh,
it's like a torture.
oh, it is. It
Yeah,
is.
yeah.
So, what got you to become a composer? Like, was the musician first, and then you were like, I love film. Like, what got you into this?
It was I played in so many bands in high school,
Hmm.
and but I really liked. I had a piano at home, and I was kind of did they still use the term latchkey kid? Or my
Yes. Well,
okay,
they're not existing, but yes, I know the term.
yeah. So essentially, I would get home at 2:30. My parents wouldn't come home until 5,
Hmm.
and I would sit at my piano instead of doing homework, of course. I would sit at my piano, like playing and just making up songs. And I just kind of tooled around so much and kind of made these like 5-10 minute long pieces that I knew in my head that were, looking back on it, very theatrical and very, they made sense. They would be more for film. And then playing in bands in high school and college, I'm like, oh, I don't really like this. I like the writing aspect of it, because I always tried to introduce songs for my bands. So it was like a natural progression of my way of wanting to write music is for film, not for it's presented on its own, like with a band or something like that.
It's theatrical.
It's theatrical, yeah.
Right. Is there a film that made you jump at that, like when it just hit?
Oh, you're gonna love it.
Oh, cool.
You're gonna love it. Mission Impossible 2.
Okay, now we're going to have a conversation because I found your scores for Demon Detective, Slapface, but then I noticed there was a covers album up there.
Yep.
So I listened to the covers album. Mind you, huge Mission Impossible guy. Huge Mission Impossible. So when that cover came on, my initial thought was, wow, what a wonderful blend of actual instruments with that hard riff style from part 2.
Nice. Yeah.
You absolutely nailed it.
I have won. My 21-year-old self would consider this a gigantic win.
Oh my God, this warms my heart so hard because I was like, good God, this is a great version of this.
Nice. Yeah, it's, well, okay. Can anyone say that Mission Impossible 2 is a great film? Is it a great film comparative to the other Mission Impossibles? Or do we compare it to other John Woo films?
Yes, there you go.
Yeah, and so Hans Zimmer is a hot topic among composers for many reasons. When somebody does 100 scores a year,
right?
It's like the Stephen King whole debate. Is he really literature? And of course, he absolutely is literature. But he's a pop writer. Who cares? He's amazing. He's an icon. So is Hans Zimmer the same way? Yeah. Do I think all of Hans Zimmer's scores are interesting? Absolutely not. But when he's unleashed, I think that's what Mission Impossible 2 is.
Right.
I think there's a cue called Injection where
Ethan?
Tandaway Newton, is that what?
Tandaway Newton, yes, the actress, yeah.
When she injects herself with the drug,
the Chimera.
With Chimera.
Listen, I know Mission Impossible.
With the MacGuffin.
Yes, the MacGuffin.
There's this Lisa Gerrard, the voice that he always uses. It's like this swell of emotion, and it's like you listen to it on its own, and it is in a great standalone piece, and you're like, how the heck would this ever fit in with an action scene? And then you watch the movie, and you're like, yeah, that's a little cheesy, but it's freaking awesome. And so I have to be like, there's no debate about Hans Zimmer's talent and what he has brought to a lot of his scores. So like, I love it when he can let go and kind of do anything. And so would I say he's my favorite composer now? No, probably not. But that score was like, I would listen to that and be like, I have to do this. I have to do this. I have to hit that point in that cue where the vocals swell up. And like, I want to do that for a movie.
Right.
You know? So the problem is when you're doing something like The Demon Detective, you can't do that because it'll stand out too much because it's not a John Woo film.
Right.
So you want to get this big bold idea out there, but you have to rein it in a little bit. So
I will give you, though, what you have done extremely well is, out of the horror scores that I've listened to, is that you have developed the stinger, as like John Carpenter would call it, because with that, as we said earlier, the synth with the like, it's very specific, but then you hit like obviously a scary sound that goes. But then in Slapface, same thing, except it's not synth, it was a straight up sting. So you've got the actual feeling for movies coming through on the score. So I applaud you
Great.
there.
Feed this, when you're writing in your studio alone, and yeah, you're getting feedback from the director, and you release it, people are like, that sounds great. And you're
Hmm.
like, okay, but am I hitting these points that I want to
Right.
hit? And you're hitting all the points that I was trying to hit. So thank you for letting me know that.
Yeah, absolutely, absolutely. So would you say that like an action movie is something that you're dying to get on?
You
Like I
know,
know action independent movies aren't really a lot of things, but I feel like that's a calling for you.
well, think of movies like what, Hannah? Uh,
Yes. Yeah,
yeah,
yeah, yeah.
that are not John Woo films,
Mhm.
but they allow them. They're like, I want to say art house action films,
Mhm.
but I think I would excel at that. That being said, I always tend to write dark, and I always tend to write moody, and
Right.
so I did score an independent action series, and that's
Mhm.
actually the cue that I had to rewrite, because I was trying to be subtle, and I was like, why am I being subtle in an action scene?
Right.
That was the one I made the YouTube video of. Um,
Gotcha.
um, it has to be. It can't be one of the Nick Cage action movies that goes straight to Amazon Prime or Netflix.
Right. Right.
Can it be something like, I haven't seen it, I know, but Pig? You know what I mean?
Yes.
Like
Right.
give me the really thoughtful action indie movie, and I will
Mhm.
absolutely excel at it.
I I
Yeah,
think you have I think you're just nailing, sorry to interrupt here, but
please.
you're proving like a score to a movie is a character. And that's kind of what you're giving off here is that you want to be the character that is theatrically, thematically going along with the ride of a movie.
Well, let's be honest. I mean, how many times do you hear music should be felt and not film music should be felt and not heard? And then everyone's like, but John Williams' Star Wars is my favorite score of all time. And you're like, okay. And you remember that because it's out there.
Hmm.
No one would dare say it's a bad score because it's not subtle. Like, how would you ever dare say that? So let's be conscious of what's on screen, but
Hmm.
let's not be afraid of music in a film score.
Right.
You
Right.
know,
Absolutely.
and so, I feel like on this movie, I struggled a couple times because in the final mix, and this is an eternal battle,
Mm-hmm.
with music and sound. It's like you can't have all the music because then it's a music video. So you might have to bring it down, and that's why I pushed the score more, because I was like, you want to hear the music, listen to the score. You want to feel the music, watch the film, because you might not hear the music prominently.
Hmm.
But that's the way it has to be. So yeah, respect the visuals, but let's hear that music.
Right.
And in something like Mission Impossible 2, who's looking for subtlety?
There is no subtlety in that film, and I absolutely love that. That's what got you ready for this.
Now let's be clear, Ghost Protocol is my favorite one.
Oh wow, okay. Fallout's top tier for me.
Fallout is good.
I respect the hell out of part 3.
Okay. Yeah. Yes. 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 Well, we for I always want to say Philip Seymour Hoffman, of course.
Oh yeah, I mean top tier villain guy. Welcome to Mission Impossible talk
Yeah.
here on the Death Curse Club.
Well, I did listen to your Terminator podcast too, and now I'm like, you want to talk about John Cena, because I think that could work.
Okay, that's what I see. I'm glad I got someone on board with me because I think that would be great. Okay, now here you go. My thing about the Terminator franchise and with the score from the first one, which is obviously synth,
Mhm.
and then in the second one, they take the themes from it and make it bigger. They make it sound more instrumental, if you will. What do you think is the best case in that? Do you like the more subtle synth version of the theme because it's very horror and they went top tier action with the second? Where would you go?
Well, and again, when you talk about iconic movies and you criticize them,
Hmm.
when I say it, know that I respect that movie to the
Right.
highest regard.
100%.
I think that score is kind of bad.
Okay. Yeah. Yeah.
I
Yeah. Yeah.
think
Yeah.
the theme song is fantastic,
Right.
and I think the bigger version works in the second one. I think
Hmm.
if they, the more subtle synth way is in the first one. To me, I just remember watching the motorcycle chase scene in the second one and being like, "Oh, this music is kind of weak."
Right.
Again, with the utmost respect for the composer, the utmost
Hmm.
respect for the film, I'm surprised at how weak the music is.
Right.
Not the
R-
themes, not the theme song, because that goes big and we all remember that. But I can't really tell you the music to the rest of the film,
yeah.
and that might be an issue.
Right. And I think that's actually back then in the 80s, 90s. I do feel like give me a good theme, but the score is unless if you are a John Williams creating an entire score for it. And later on, we do get better things. I think there are standouts like Alan Silvestri with,
I don't. By the way, on the Predator podcast. We'll talk about how I like Predator 2 way more than I like Predator 1.
let's
But
go.
but, but that being said, Alan Silvestri's score in the first one makes that movie 100 times better
Right.
than again. Utmost respect for the film,
Hmm.
still love it, but like Alan Silvestri's score, holy moly, does that enhance that movie to the nth degree.
Right. And that's actually why I think it nowadays the MCU, like Alan Silvestri doing the Avengers score, those movies have scores that you remember. Not Iron Man, not Captain America.
Yeah.
Well, I guess he did do Captain America, but like the Avengers score is the one that's prominent. Nobody else has a prominent score on that. By the way, Barry J. Neely and myself just became best friends because this is a Step Brothers podcast.
Well, by the way,
Yeah.
to talk on the Marvel scores briefly, the Winter Soldier is the score to find on its own
Mm-hmm.
because it is a score that blends with the movie so well you don't necessarily notice it, but it has to be listened to on its own because it's fantastic.
Yeah, it's that subtlety that you're talking about, and it gets loud on the action scenes.
And I'm not going to compare myself to a
Mm-hmm.
Marvel movie, but I
Hey, hey.
think sound wise, because I remember like the Winter Soldier's characters' themes are like screams,
Yes.
are like vocals, and that's for the Demon Detective is massively what I used in the score is voices and vocals. And I don't know when you listen to the soundtrack, you're going to be like, oh, that's a human voice because it's a human voice that I might have messed up.
Wow.
Yeah, so I used
Wow.
voices, and I talk. I try to emphasize this a lot because it's not necessarily apparent in the score. But
Mm-hmm.
I used Morla Gorondona, who's just Destiny 2. She's a voice actor. My wife
Mm-hmm.
is actually a very well established voice actor who I used her singing voice in this as the clean tones in it.
Oh
So there are
wow.
actually throughout the score there are voices you might not pick out as voices, but they are all over the place.
Oh
So and I know
wow.
I just went from Marvel to, but like the something about that Winter Soldier theme was maybe an inspiration for this, which might seem odd, but you know,
No, I mean you can find it anywhere. And Winter Soldier is like the story of him is a horror kind of tale. I
yeah,
mean,
yeah,
your
yeah,
best friend is put into the ice and then brought back as his
yeah.
villain. Yeah, that's horror.
That's yeah, yeah.
And you just did a perfect segue back to the movie. That was great. So without again saying or whatever, but if there is a Detective Demon 2, would you be interested to come back not only to score it, but what kind of changes, lessons learned from the first project would you like to bring in this? More voices?
Oh yeah. Well, okay. So I won't. There was a lot of discussion and a lot of sometimes differences of opinions of where certain scenes should go.
Mm-hmm.
And this is part of the looking back on it later. I would probably lean more into the horror and subtleties of it. And I think that, and I don't know what they're proposing for the next one, if there is a next one, but I know that some of the scenes seem to be were filmed less horror and more like battle. Like
Right.
there's a scene in a gym which is actually so cool and so well done. Again, especially knowing their budget, pardon me,
Right.
where it's a big scene and the music is big, but
Mm-hmm.
we want to make sure that this movie is a horror and more subtle. So I think if I would love to come back, but I would subdue this. I would rein it in so much, and
Mm-hmm.
that I think would definitely use the voices more,
Gotcha.
because there's
Gotcha.
sometimes where there's big drums in the score, and I think that let's lean more into the detective aspect of it and
Mm-hmm.
bring that down. So maybe this,
Mm-hmm.
like, maybe conjecture, the right word, maybe this movie is, let's introduce these big profile demons, and the next one let's dig into how the difficulties of dealing with them as opposed to just dealing with them in this film.
Right.
You know that
Right.
Doug Jones is in this, by the way.
I was about to actually plug Doug
Okay.
Jones, Vivica
Yeah.
A. Fox. Like, this cast is wild.
It and this movie establishes Adrienne Barbeau.
Mm-hmm.
She plays this character that she's like the original demon detective almost.
Mm-hmm.
She's a based in the church. She's a nun, I believe, but she's only in it for a little bit. But
Mm-hmm.
like she is a major supporting character to the main character.
Mm-hmm.
So we could really expand on her character. Doug Jones, and worry about giving away too much in terms of like the movie's out, so people are gonna know.
Right. Right.
Doug Jones, I know that the director TC was like wrote it for Doug Jones, but was like, I'm not getting Doug Jones.
Right.
Let's get some other guy. And to Danny Scott, the producers, uh, you know, great on her to be like, no, TC, who do you want? And he said Doug Jones, and she
Mm-hmm.
got Doug Jones because Doug Jones. I don't want to talk for. I'm going to soften this language that instead of being like Doug Jones wants out of the outfit, he wants out of the mask. But a
Right.
little bit, he wants. He's seen on screen as Doug Jones. He is
Right.
a perfect, scary ass demon, but he is himself Doug Jones, and that's
Oh
what's so
wow.
awesome about this role. He's not in a
Right.
mask. He's not behind a curtain. He is in it, and it's his scene is so like it. The whole movie builds up to his scene, and it's
Mm-hmm.
phenomenal.
Oh my God. Yeah. Nope. Gotta watch it, guys. We're
Right.
gonna be watching it. Barry J. Neely, thank you for coming on and talking about your score for The Demon Detective, which is out on Apple, Vudu, Amazon, everywhere you can get it. Before I let you go, Barry, please plug everything you got down the pike. Your Predator podcast with me, your
Yes.
Mission Impossible. Thrill Me Impossible's coming back.
Well, I mean, just so you know, I am so consistent with Barry J. Neely. It's on TikTok, Instagram, Blue Sky, YouTube. I like to do breakdowns. People like to see breakdowns of how people make music, and I pride myself on the ones that I do. Um,
Right.
this has been a pleasure, and I'm so excited for you to see this movie. And if anything, the world building in this movie is really something to look for.
Right.
And
Right.
it's really and it's something that absolutely could be expanded on, and I hope one day it will be.
I hope so too. Actually, just really quickly,
Yeah.
what's crazy about this, when I scored this amazing interview, and thank you again for coming on, I was at Halloween Horror Nights in Orlando on vacation, and there's a house there called Hatchet and Chains, which is a Western
Oh.
about a demon hunter going
Ah.
through an old west town. And like when I saw this, I was like, I guess this is just the life I live in, where the things I need are cops going after demons from the westerns to whatever age this will be in.
Nice. Yeah.
So now you got to do a score for a western version. So get ready
Uh,
for that.
in 2008, a long, long time ago, I did a movie called Escape from Darwin. That is a
Okay.
modern day Western. Can you find it anywhere? No, but I am going to email you a copy of that score as soon as we get off of this.
Listen, We said Alan Silvestri is a great composer. He did Back to the Future 3. Barry, you do great westerns, horror, and your action's coming, son. All right, thank you, my friend.
All right.